before the war? What was I like before the war? What was I like before the war? What was I like before the war? This body doesn't even belong to me, does it? Does it? This body doesn't even belong to me, does it? Does it? Does it? This body doesn't even belong to me. Does it? This body doesn't even belong to me, does it? Does it? Does it? This body doesn't even belong to me, does it? Does it? Does it? Does it? This body doesn't even belong to me, does it? Does it? Does it? Does it? Does it? Does it? Does it?
All right, hi everybody out there in YouTubeville. My name is Dave Cantrell. I am the host of Songs from Under the Floorboard on XRAY, and a big shout out to XRAY for making pretty much all this happen, and many more besides, much more. I'll try to get my grammar right, and we'll continue. I am sitting here with, sitting here virtually, of course, with tonight's headliner, Dry Wedding. Um, and yeah, oh, I forgot to mention too. Yeah, I'm also the founder of the Out from Shadows Festival, which is like, this is the Out from the Shadows showcase. So I suppose that merits some mention. At any rate, I try not to talk about OFTS too much since it broke my heart so much having to cancel this year's, and probably not going to happen until 2022, but that's another topic altogether. So let's introduce everybody here. I'm going to let them introduce themselves, although I'll start with Davey Furchow, who is the songwriter and singer, lyricist anyway, and singer in Dry Wedding. And let's go around. Jared, say hello.
Hi.
That was easy. That's Jared Green. And there's Tom Fuller.
Hello, I'm Tom. I play drums, and I was just informed I have a terrible internet connection, which shouldn't be an issue. It's kind of weird, but if I crap out, that's kind of what happened. Just wanted to warn you.
Thank you for that warning. That's civil.
I didn't hear anything you said until Tom Fuller, so.
It's certainly fine right now. And then Chadwick Ferguson is like up here.
Hi.
Hi. All right. So introductions behind us. Thank you all for doing this. Thank you for playing the house show. I was really thrilled by how this came together. So I'm going to throw a little personal history. I've known Davey since probably 2015, since that's when the, oh, here, hold on, let me do this first. That's when the Swampland album came out. And he was in Long Beach at the time, as I recall. And somehow, by some magical persuasion, he moved up to Portland, because everybody does. Let's talk about the formation of Dry Wedding, because I know it was a process, and I shared that quite often with Davey on chat and whatnot. But let's just sort of get into that a little bit, because it's I don't know, it's a story of determination and finding the three of you to go with comprise Dry Wedding. So how'd that happen, Davey?
Well, yeah, like you said, I moved up from Southern California. I moved here to Portland in April of 2017. And even a few weeks before I even, moved, I was already posting ads on Craigslist trying to put a band together.
Oh, wow.
And my original concept was that I was just going to form a band that I was just going to sing in, because I kind of missed interacting with the crowd in that particular way. So I was just trying to plug in all the other pieces. Then when I moved here, I had a basement practice space, and I just started trying different people out. I played with a group of guys for a pretty long while, maybe 9 or 10 months. And throughout that process, I had started writing a bunch of songs on guitar. And so there were maybe like 1 or 2 songs I just sang on, but otherwise I was, playing guitar and singing. So that started to evolve while I was playing with those guys. And then it just got to the point where, we're 9 or 10 months in, and I didn't feel like the band was, in a place to start playing live or to record or anything like that. And so I kind of just started from scratch. And I went back to Craigslist and first connected with Tom on Craigslist. And then for a little bit there, we played with Keats, who I know you are familiar with because he was in Spare Spells. And then he had some conflicts. He had some other projects going on. So then we got another bassist, and then, actually even before we got to the switch in the bassist, we tried out Jared, and Jared joined the band. So once, Tom and Jared and I kind of connected, yeah, we had those couple of bass player shifts. The second bassist we actually started playing shows with, and then it just wasn't a good fit for him anymore. And so summer of 2019, Chadwick joined the band. He learned the songs super quickly to get show ready and also to record the record, which we did last November. So
Yeah, I remember that period when the band finally came together, and the phrase "came together" has seldom been so apt. I mean, it gelled really quickly, it felt. And I know that you were happy. I mean, I could tell by the tone or the tenor of the messages that I was getting from you that you're pretty thrilled about this band that has suddenly coalesced. So, Jared, let's go over to you for one. At the cover of the album is pretty arresting artwork, which I understand you were responsible for.
Yeah. So the way we did that was Davey had sent over like a couple samples of just like some public domain kind of images, and I started like looking through them. Some were like these old photographs that I thought kind of had like a sky texture and stuff like that. So I kind of just threw like a little collage together. It's just kind of like a test, like, oh, what if we went for something like this? And the other guys liked it, so then we went through a few more drafts and put that all together for the final piece.
Well, it's very evocative of the band name. It doesn't always happen, and it has a very. I wish I had a copy, which we don't yet. Now you guys have them, right?
the covers will be in our possession tomorrow.
Whoa!
And the inserts, covers and inserts arrive tomorrow, so we're gonna have a stuffing party, and we will have them at the show on Monday next week.
With just the stuffing and the insert, or is the record going to be in there too?
We have the records, so those will also be included, and a digital download.
Oh wow! That's the modern touch. So the one thing I was wondering too about and let's switch over to Tom. Let's do that. I mean, just what your individual history, just real quick, like have you been in bands in Portland before, or how long you've been in Portland? Is anybody from Portland? That would be, exciting news because it's pretty rare. Go, yeah. Tom.
Well, I grew up in upstate New York. I lived in Vermont for a bit, and I started touring in a band in Vermont. It was like a hardcore punk band. And then 7 or so years ago, I moved to Olympia for a year, where I did not play drums at all. I didn't really connect with anybody that I wanted to play music with, and I had other stuff going on with my life. And then I landed in Portland. I had some friends here, and yeah, came here, got right back into it. I was playing in multiple bands, doing the thing, and eventually I realized I really like playing like super fast, aggressive, like hardcore punk and metal, but I wanted to do something a little more dynamic. And that's when I found David's Craigslist ad, and he mentioned a bunch of bands that I thought were really cool that I didn't know any other musicians that were like trying to take influence from. So that's when I hit Davey up and we connected, and it was great.
Cool. But yeah, Chadwick, what's your story?
What? Oh, yeah. I answered Davey's call, and
but where'd you come from?
Oh, I'm from Missouri originally. So,
wow.
Yeah, I've been out here for some time and traveled back and forth, and moved away for a minute and came back to town early 2019 and wanted to start playing with people again. And then serendipitously checked the internet, of all things.
Who does that?
Yeah. I don't, but I did this one time. And that's actually, I've never responded or looked for any music kind of things on Craigslist or any other thing. And then just happened to listen to the music, and I dug it. So
you were not using the word serendipitously casually. I mean, it was absolutely serendipity. If you just like, I think I'll check this one time, and
It's
Now,
it's really bizarre. It's I kind of thought I would check it out and it would be terrible. Or whatever. I don't know. It's Craigslist. I don't know. Like, like,
yeah, well, I mean, sure, of course, it's the internet. What else do you expect?
yeah, I don't, it's just a pile of flaming garbage all the time. So,
Right.
but I figured I'd look at it and it was, yeah, it was pretty amazing. So,
But if it had been a pile of flaming garbage only some of the time, you would have been okay with it, or no? Never mind.
the music, yeah, no.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
No.
yeah, no. I mean, that's
So,
life in general, I guess. And
well, this is true. Yeah. Yeah. With
Well,
this whole conversation could so easily detour into some existential moaning session.
But yeah, so it just, I don't know, it just happened at the right time, right place. So
That's great. I mean, that's it really does add a layer to the dry wedding story that I don't know. Usually it isn't serendipitous. I'll just say that it's usually much more mundane than that. So Jared, how'd you get involved?
Pretty similar to Chadwick, actually. I was just at work one day, decided to check Craigslist for the hell of it. Saw an ad that just said, post-punk band looking for multi-instrumentalists. And so I checked it out, and I believe Davey had put like a bunch of descriptions of like kind of sounds he was looking for. And it sounded just like sounds I was looking for. So yeah, I just sent him a quick little email, and we ended up meeting up, I think, like later that week, just to like try it out.
Well, I'm inspired by it's like there's a sort of old school, even though you're using the internet, put that aside. But it just, again, it could have been like little, phone number tabs at the laundromat or something, right? This is sort of the digital version of that, and the fact that it worked out as well as it did, that's pretty exceptional. I was going to say that because like when did all this happen? What was the timeline for this? Because I don't fucking remember.
So spring 2018, I cleaned house, started from scratch, and that's when I connected with Tom. I actually had a friend who was going to be moving up from California who I was thinking about collaborating with, and the second I played with Tom, I was like, sorry man, I gotta play with this guy now. So Tom and I, spring 2018, then a few months later, like beginning of summer, Jared joined, and then for the rest of the year we played with this guy George until the end of the year.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And then Chadwick ended up coming in summer of last year. And yeah, and like I said, hit the ground running and did a bunch of shows, recorded the album, and then COVID hit. So
right. Well, that's where I was sort of heading, because how can you not, that's the elephant in everyone's room, of course, because it's a hell of a challenge, I have to think, and you're not alone, of course, of putting out a record at a time when again, I'm happy about this opportunity. You actually get to play a show that's your record debut, your record release show. That's wonderful. But for the most part, I mean, all the usual mechanisms of how that process goes is just another thing that has been blown out of the water by what we've been going through. So, I mean, I'm just asking, I guess, if there have been any specific unique challenges since, during the stage of becoming a band with a record out instead of just a band that, has coalesced.
I mean, the record took a while to come out. I mean, that was the first obstacle, I think, as far as trying to coordinate all the different moving parts, what pressing plants are open, what,
right.
Printing services are still available during the pandemic. And, actually my former boss is the guy who runs Cascade. And so, you know, I have a personal relationship with him, and I reached out to him, and he let me know that they were still operating, and he let me know, you know, which of their printing vendors were still operating. And so it was one of those things where, you know, we worked really hard on the record. You know, a lot of energy and time went into making it, and you know, we figured that people might love a new album to listen to while they're stuck at home. Um, and so, you know, we just, it, like I said, it was a little bit of a more slow moving process than anticipated, but you know, we wanted to do it, and now it's pretty much done. So.
And there's actually been to me, if I would have made a prediction when all this started, I wouldn't necessarily have thought this. There have been a lot of records coming out, and I don't know. We'll see how all this affects the usual, you know, the dynamics we were used to of how this business operates. You know, once we're out of that, out of this, if we ever are, whenever all that's going to be. So I noticed that although the Davey is responsible for the lyrics, and the music is credited to the band generally. So naturally, being the sort of process geek that I am, I was sort of wanted to ask how that, you know, what that, I mean, would you come in with a set of lyrics, or did you just come in with an idea? I mean, how would these things take shape? Because the sound on the record, let's see, well, I'll get to that in a while, but I mean, it's a unique version of a certain style that is very identifiable immediately as like the Dry Wedding sound. So it makes me, you know, curious as to how that was born, if you will.
Yeah. So usually, I mean, music happens first. You know, 9 times out of 10, I usually come up with some riff ideas. Sometimes it might be 1 or 2 riffs. Sometimes it might be 3 or 4 or 5. And you know, I'll send little demos to the guys, and then if anything sparks the collective interest, you know, the next time we have the opportunity to work on new material, we'll start playing around with that. You know, and there are songs too that have been built from, you know, other people's riffs. Like the song Tooth and Claw off the record started with a, you know, couple of Jared riffs, and we expanded on that. So I ever since I moved here, I've been heavily focused on writing music. So usually we have the entire song sketched out before I even write a single lyric. And that's been different than how I've done it in the past. And you know, but we're very meticulous. I mean, we write out the song, we write out all the pieces, we're moving stuff around, you know, we're trying to come up with, you know, what we think are interesting song structures. And I mean, we've been heavily involved in that lately, to the point where we have the whole next record written and then some. So
Well, that, I mean, you already have the whole next record written. Sort of points to there being a bit of an obsessive streak in you all, which is great. How much of was the record like essentially recorded and ready before shutdown, or did you have to do some of the recording, you know, remotely?
We recorded in, was it November?
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's like the
Okay.
first week of November.
Yeah. So yeah, it was done. It just took a while for everything to come together.
Right. I mean, I should really
Yeah.
remember all this, because I had like a, you know, a front row Facebook seat with JB, you know, letting me know the progress of things. But as I said earlier, like, you know,
I think we finished mixing in like early February or something like that. But it was before, you know,
yeah, just in
COVID
time.
had, you know, fully hit. So
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, good. Yeah, good thing you're not a Chinese band. It would have been difficult. All right. Well, now comes the portion of the interview where we talk about the lyrics, Davey. And this is like, I mentioned before, but we started this whole thing. It's like, I'm not going to look at my notes because that's not professional. I don't care. I'm going to do it anyway. So this is what I like how they're terse. And there's my phone, our other phone. Great. Well, again, this is the charm of live anything in this Zoom era.
Is that a house phone?
Yeah, because we still have a landline because of where we live. So anyway, there's this sort of your lyrics. They're terse and elusive. And I have this written down as like oblique in this cut glass kind of way. And to me, they scan like a kind of Nick Cave, Samuel Beckett, Cormac McCarthy, David Eugene Edwards hybrid, with a bit of darkness thrown in, as if there wouldn't be enough with that foursome that I just mentioned. Does that sound like a fair approximation, or am I like just on drugs?
No, I'm smiling from ear to ear. I mean, you just name dropped some of my favorite artists of all time. So to be in their company is an honor.
I don't go getting a big head about it or nothing.
No.
No, I'm just, I'm happy to have sort of been around for the genesis of this project, because I think it's one of the more unique, sort of sui generis sounding records as a debut, especially, and just as your style overall. We're kind of going on a glide path towards the end of this interview, but what are you going to do next? It's glorious that we get to have this show on. We're pre-recording this, so I'm not going to try to maintain the illusion that we're talking live between sets on Monday night. But what are you going to do in this insanity? What all four of you, what are your thoughts once this insanity is behind us, assuming it ever is in our lifetime? It'll be replaced by some other kind of insanity, but this is a particular brand. It's pretty historic. And I'm sort of thinking, if I was you, I'd like, okay, we're gonna play 4 shows a day for like a month, just to make up for it. I don't know. Have you thought about that at all?
We definitely want to tour. We were like, we recorded the album and we were ready to just go all in, basically, and then all this happened. So yeah, whatever we can get away with, like whatever we can do, we're gonna do. We're all dedicated to the band and playing as many shows as we can, and whatever. I'm with you on that. I don't know if it's gonna be. I don't know when COVID's gonna end.
Right.
Or if it will. And things will probably be different permanently, but we're gonna do something.
I would hope so. I just can't imagine the sense of pent up, eagerness that would be if I was in your place. Obviously, you're going to be on whatever stage, and whenever it happens that Out from the Shadows is able to occur.
Thank you.
And given the clamor that I'm being surrounded by right now, I think this is a good time to sign off, if I can actually be heard above the clamor.
Dog call you on your phone?
I trained him like really well. I thought it was a good trick, but it's kind of backfiring on me. Go get him, bud. You tell him.